Warning, this show contains adult language, so viewer and listener discretion is advised. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life raw. The background noise is my F-350 96 7.3 liter pickup truck. It's diesel and it's loud. We're on our work commute. That's what I come to you guys live out of my mobile studio. Today's episode 201. It's an extension of episode 200. What is the rat race? And I wanted to go a little bit more on what are the alternatives to the rat race. We started really going on. I started getting on a momentum there of thought, and I wanted to keep that energy up for you guys. So what are alternatives to get out of the rat race? I think the very first one I have down here that I didn't get to say in the last show was thinking for yourself. Now, I think we were talking about mental programming and things like that, public education and its role on how you think. And my perspective is that it's down to like cooking. Like a lot of people have problems thinking for themselves, and I think that's the problem I have with public education and things like that, and a lot of the TV shows and information that's out there is that a lot of people are programmed to keep seeking stuff externally, right? We live a lot of our mentals externally. I need a book to learn this stuff. I need to watch a video. I need to go get an education to do these things. And while I'm not knocking that, I think that it's very great. I think that a lot of people should get an education. In fact, that's what I do. I'm not against education one bit, but I'm actually more about education in the right types of places. And what education should first teach you, if you don't have it inside you already, is to think for yourself. That's how a lot of new things are invented, right? A lot of people utilize what they could. They took education as far as they can. They consumed everything that they had around them that was consumable, that was provided for them. And then they went and started what? What did they do? They started thinking for themselves. They started to say, well, now that I have all of this information in front of me, what can I add to that? How can I make this even better? And I look at this and I think this is the most powerful thing, especially talking about the subject matter of the rat race, is there's a rat race, I think, and a lot of people suffering because we all sat in this thing and we decided, well, what more is there? Where can we go from here? I can't do anything. Like, I'm just one person. You guys have heard this before. You probably heard this dialogue because that's what you tell yourself. I'm not that smart. I don't have enough of an education. There's plenty of stuff out there. There's plenty of YouTube videos, blogs, there's information, there's scientific papers, guys, that's written about how water holds memory or how vitamin therapy works or studies on cancer. It's all there. It's sometimes very difficult to read, the jargon. I'm like, I have no fucking clue what these people are saying, half of it. But it goes in line. You can actually have access to published papers by Nature, which is a publication of science and things like that, if you want those sort of things. And then you can sort of sit back in your life and think and use that power to say, well, what can I do? What can I add to this? Such as, how do I get out of the rat race? What can I do differently? What's wrong with the rat race? And if I remove the rat race, what do I replace it with, right? So these are all terms of thinking for yourself. And how do I know a lot of people don't know how to do this is that there's an ingredients, right, that we'll have to, in some sort of soup, right? You need, time. And because you ain't got time, the herb to put in there, you'll follow the recipe down to the details and go, well, can't make soup now, don't got time. Why don't you try throwing a little oregano in there? Or what's something else that tastes like thyme, that's kind of similar, right? Or what if you don't use thyme? What if you try something new, start thinking for yourself, and add a whole different spice? Don't fuck up the soup, right? Just grab a little bit juice in the ladle, add some, I don't fucking know, some mustard seed or something. Give it a sip and go, not really. Take another bite, put some oregano, as I said. You might look and go, wow, that's actually really tasty. And now you just invented a soup where you have the option to use thyme or oregano. And you just made something new from thinking for yourself. That's the power. That's the kind of systematic thinking that I look at, and needs to be, the word needs to be spoken, and people need to be shown this. Because once, it's like a virus. Once people get that sense of thinking for themselves, it's kind of like entrepreneurship. Like I look at and permaculture. Once you know that you're giving back to the earth and you're doing good and you're actually getting some, it's contagious. It's hard to go back. So yeah, think for yourself. Consider it. And creating new things. let's get into what we would do, like rat race. How do we get out of the rat race? I think what we'd have to look at is a lot of ideologies and things which we talked about. Beyond that, we need physical goods. And as we talked about in the rat race, that we are locked in by money. We're locked in by a lot of things that we need to purchase. So to get creative and create new things, we need to start educating and researching, gaining knowledge for ourselves. Just like I said, YouTube and all these kind of things here. Can you learn how to weave a basket, right? We look at something so simple. You may look at this and go, that's just stupid. No, it's not. If you're able to weave a basket, you can start selling hand-woven baskets. Because I believe, to my knowledge right now, there's no way to really artificially weave a basket. You can't have robots. They could probably do it coming pretty soon, but I don't think that would be the biggest technology that people would want to look at, is weaving baskets. But what we do is we would look at, if you want to produce your own things, you would think that weaving a basket, oh, that's so simple. But what if you were growing such things as reeds to suck the toxins and to clean your water supply out? If you're producing a lot of your own shit, I guess is where I'm coming from. You would have your excuse me, your gray water come out into a vat of gravel, into this little tiny pond, and you would plant reeds there, and the reeds would start sucking all the toxins and stuff out of the pond, so that it would clean the water, maybe safe for your garden or for at least washing your hands and things like that. Well, sooner or later the reeds would die. You can cut these reeds out of that pond and plant new ones, and you can take those reeds and now you can weave them into a basket. Now you can take the reeds that you're not using and you can use them as compost, right? As mulch around your trees, say your eucalyptus trees or your oak trees, stuff you're growing for firewood. That basket you got, you can actually teach YouTube videos of how to weave that basket and how you did it sustainably. When you're done with that basket returns to the earth. With that basket, you can go to grocery stores and it enhances, it makes you look that much fucking weirder and greater when you're doing your YouTube video of how sustainable you are. While you're making money on YouTube, you're carrying that basket you made. So you don't have, when you go in the grocery store, like, would you like your bags? Like, nah, I brought my own basket. They're like, what? And you slam that thing on the desk, right? I actually made that myself. And you think maybe some people behind you would look and go, that's really cool. That's kind of, I want a basket. I want to jump on that trend, and so forth. That's the thinking. That's the creating. How do we create things? And how do we create things that, as I said, goes into many directions? It's like a lake that turns into or a river that has many, many tributaries. Next on my list here is majority does not rule, guys. The rat race is out there, and I think that that's one of the things that holds people back, is like, look, if everybody's doing it, it's got to be right. I think that's the greatest trick, the greatest magical magician trick that the rat race, the people who invented the rat race, put on us. A lot of us are stuck here by walls of air. I think they call it an oubliette in French, I think. Listen to me trying to get all fucking fancy. Shut the hell up. Anyways, yeah, it's a prison of air. And I like to call it a prison of error. A lot of us don't realize, not really, there's many things that are cracking as this time right now in 2021. This pandemic, I think, has really showed us how the systems fail. I'm scared to death. I don't know what the fuck's going to happen. I'm not literally scared to death. I guess I'm just using that phrase. But with the systems we have right now, with inflation and things like that, a couple million, 3 million people facing evictions, and 30 million people out of jobs, out of work for such an extended period of time, and now they're printing money and they're just handing money and trying to get the economy boosted how could we not hit a recession? So just these things, as I say, majority does not rule, because what we're finding is that the majority are following the rat race. And how successful are they? How many people are in debt? How many people are literally suffering? 30 million people out of work. I think it's choice, though. There's a lot of debateful things that we can look here. Is like, yeah, these people were offered education, but they just didn't want it. They wanted to, ditch school, not do their homework, not really care about it, do drugs, and not give a fuck. Just get by, right? Yeah, it's their fault. In a way, yeah. But in a lot of ways, there was nobody ever there to teach people, to show them that there are different ways, besides what the majority rules as the way. So I think that in order, people would have to be convinced that, yeah, this shit sucks. And I think that what better time than we have now when you look around you. And what you have to do, too, is a lot of people are just getting by. It's not like they want to just get by. They can't do anything more but just get by. So what's happening is they're working and working and working. And for those of you who are working and working harder and harder and harder, trying to get ahead, and you're not really getting ahead or you're getting there slow, look at the progression. And it's simple math is the way I look at it. Get yourself a calculator, and I want you guys to look, especially if you're getting in your 40s, your 50s, how much money did you save? How much money do you have in the bank account for your retirement? And we're not even talking about emergency funds and things like that. Just money so when you get old as fuck and broken and you can't work, you can survive. How much money you got? All right, so now we're going to look at the math, and what we're going to say is, well, how much money can I save every single year, right? Stuff that fucking school and the rat race and all the rest of this shit and the majority don't teach you. Let's just say you can save $10,000 a year. It isn't shit. Let's look if you're 40 years old and you want to look at the compounding of that. You need to retire when you're 70, let's say. If you could even keep working. Multiply $10,000 times what if you're 40 years old, 22 years, right? That's not that much money, is it? Do you think you can live that way? What was a candy bar worth back in 1980s? What was a candy bar worth in the 1990s? What was it worth in the early 2000s? What is it worth now in the 2020s? Look at the inflation. Look at the way things. You're going to be lost, right? I don't want to get you guys down. I don't want to pick on anybody, but in order for us to point out the problem, we need to actually acknowledge that there is a problem, and we need to know that, hey, this shit is not fucking working. And that's the part that scares the living fucking shit out of me for people, is that by the time they get this, it could be too late. I'm here to say, even if you're in your 40s, it's not too late, right? I'm not fucking filthy rich. I'm only a thousandaire, right? I'm nowhere near able to afford to retire. I may never be able to retire. That's why I go through all the trouble that I do. I may have my special needs daughter for the rest of my life. My problem is that there is no help from the government. Absolutely nothing. Maybe they'll give me some money from Social Security, but not enough to live on. I've already done my research. I've spoken with people, and they says if you're living in your vehicle, maybe, and that's eating canned food and stuff like that if you're unable to work. So us special needs families, we're screwed. That means I've got to change my perspective, and the majority could fucking kiss my fucking ass. Everybody can, not everybody, not you guys, but the other people, they could all kiss my ass. I got to pave my own road for survival. So I'm creating new things. And I'm noticing that the majority doesn't rule, especially in my favor. So we all know, I think mathematically, hopefully, the sooner you figure this shit out, the better you're off. Because I think a lot of people are in denial. Like, no, this is great, man. This is really good. For some people, maybe. But for the majority, who we say majority rules, for the majority, it's not working. Do the math. Take a look around you. Open your eyes and see. Again, it's just my perspective. Tell me where I'm wrong, please. Okay, it's all hard work. In the end, even if you lived off the land and you did everything yourself, you're still going to have to work. If you hunted your own meats and stuff, if you went to get your own fish, if you're weaving that basket and you're collecting berries, you're sewing moccasins, you'd have to tan the hide. It's all work in the end. And I think the bigger, if we created community, the easier life gets. Unfortunately, in this day and age, a lot of us, especially in the rat race, want to do everything ourselves, and we've segregated ourselves from everybody and everything. And I think that's one of our biggest downfalls, and that's where we're going to see a lot of the pain is in people just trying to do everything themselves. I, for one, like to do things myself. I think that I would, in the future, would like to join a community or like to bring people together. I just can't find the right like-minded people who are in it for the people. And that's what I look at. It's not what I say. It's not what I invented, what I came up with. Not everybody, I gotta stop saying that, but the majority of people are into who came up with it. Do they get who gets the credit? Put credit where credit's due. And everybody's looking at that, at who and what and why. They're not looking at the thing. That's what I look at. I would find people, and I think this is a lesson that we all need to understand for ourselves, is what's the thing that we can all contribute to, or a single person? What's the thing, an invention or something we can put in place that's good for everybody, right? It's not just good for one person. It's good for everybody. And start focusing on that thing and stop focusing on who came up with it first, who said it, and all. Those are just weak people. Well, if we stop putting that energy out there, if I can articulate this correctly and clearly, if we all stop focusing on that stuff and focus more on the thing, how could we solve this problem? How can we make this problem how can we solve this problem and put something in place that will flourish? As we said on episode 200, where it's perpetual motion. It just keeps getting better and better. We have the respect of each other and of ourselves. And now life just starts to improve, and life starts to go good. And it's a system, unlike the rat race, that's there for generations to come, built by us people who can see the thing after the thing, and life gets better for everybody. It's a perfect model. It's just something set in place until people throw it away or sell it, right? But we get to enjoy it. I don't want to go off on that weird tangent there, but yeah, there's no price on freedom, guys. There's no fucking price. It's not worth your life. It's not really worth money, but you have to get in perspective of what you need to do in order to live a free life and be able to contribute and actually build that thing. And once we get that thing built, I think what the powers that be, that's why they keep throwing caution cones and lighting things on fire, diverting our attention, because once we do build community and get things like this put in place, we don't need the rat race anymore. In fact, the rat race looks pretty fucking stupid, doesn't it? Right? There's no ROI, there's no return on investment, right? There's no symbiotic relationship. Once I have the powerful feeling that once things that I invent, like my food production systems and things like that, my way of living, where no, I don't go to the movies all the time or concerts and drive a Lamborghini, but I get to go fishing whenever I want. I get to go to the beach and go running. I get to take the day off. I take naps in the back of my vehicle in my truck. I get to travel with my children a few weeks, like 2 months sometimes, 3 months out of the year. I only have to work like 8 months out of the year. That's the power. And once I have the strong feeling that once my children and once people like you taste something like that, where certain things aren't taxable, growing fruit trees and they keep multiplying, nut trees, and we make nut butters, make your own peanut drinks. You can literally survive if you wanted to, year round. And there's no taxes on that kind of stuff. Yes, you'll have to pay taxes on the little bit of money you make, but if you make under $5,000, you literally legally don't have to pay taxes. What if you're able to live on $5,000 a year? But everything that you needed was supplied to you in a community setting where shoes from secondhand stores and clothes but the food, the electricity, the water was collected by such things as cloud nets, as we said. All of your stuff was produced for you. You didn't have to work if you didn't want to. But all you had to do was limit it to $5,000. Legally, you would not have to pay taxes. You wouldn't have to pay anything. And you can actually live a comfortable life, even if you want to just take a break for a year and then go back to the rat race. That's the kind of innovations I'm talking about. This is the last segment of the show. I had to break it up in a bunch of pieces. There was just so much to say. Unless I find something else while I'm driving. Guys, that's the show. I need your guys' help. We're going to continue doing 5 shows a week here, Monday through Friday. I need to get the show off the ground. I want to try to monetize it. I know it's premature here, but I need you guys' help now because I need to get subscribers and views, and I'm not really getting that much, and I'm getting the feeling that my show sucks. So if I brought you value, and only if I brought you guys value, please like, subscribe, review the show, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, middle finger. You guys can actually get a hold of me. Description is the link is in the descriptions below. upandinitshow@gmail.com. Email me what you guys want to hear, what you guys want to see. Let me know how I'm doing, or just say hello. You'll find it Up and In It on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and anywhere where they'll allow me to place these podcasts. And as I always say, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it, and bone it, my friend.